Hear me? This is the Certification Advisory Council, and I'd like to welcome our members and the institution representatives and the site visit evaluators today. I would ask that the Certification Advisory Council members introduce themselves. I'll let you know that I am Kathy Mayert, Special Projects Director with the Coordinating Board, and I hope to have Dr. Rex Peebles, our Assistant Commissioner, join us shortly, and our General Counsel Bill Franz may also join us during the meeting. At the time that the applications are taken, then perhaps the institutional representatives and the site evaluators can introduce themselves. And I'm going to turn it over to the chair so that she can take over the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to introduce the members of the council. I am Carolyn Wilson Green from Texas A&M San Antonio, and I'm serving as chair.
Donna Jurek, I'm from St. Edward's University here in Austin.
Robert Rhodes from Abilene Christian University in Abilene.
Jennifer Ram, University of Mary Hardin Baylor in Belton.
Joyce Williams, Dallas County Community College District.
Diana Miller, Laredo Community College in Laredo, Texas.
Thank you. Our first order of business on our agenda is consideration of the summary notes from the October 30th, 2014 meeting. Our council members should have received a copy of those notes from the past meeting, and so I would like to open up and ask if there is a motion to approve, or let me go back before that, if there are any corrections that you see that need to be made. All right, seeing that there are none, I would ask then, is there a motion to approve the summary notes as printed in the copy that we received?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right. So the notes will be accepted as approved as they're written here in the document that we received. Okay, then the second item of business is consideration of the application for a third certificate authority from Baptist Hospitals of Southeast Texas for their program in the School of Radiologic Technology. And so as we get started, I'd like to give you an opportunity for the institutional representative and the visiting team chair to introduce yourselves.
My name is Deborah Smith. I'm the program director for the radiology school, have been for 4 years. My predecessor was with us for 45 years. Our program has been around for 64 years. We've been accredited by the Joint Commission on Radiologic Science for over 45 years. And we're doing well and hope you allow us to continue with our process.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Catherine O'Brien, Associate Vice Chancellor for Learning and Assessment at San Jacinto College, and I was the chair of the site team. In addition to me, we also had Becky Burton, who is the Director of Radiography, an Associate Professor at Amarillo College, and then Trenda McSweeney, who is a Radiology Technology Director at Parker University. And we'll be happy to answer any of your questions this morning.
Okay, thank you. Well, at this time, then, we'll take opportunity for members of the council to ask questions, to enter into discussion about the documents that you submitted for this consideration. And so I'll open up the floor for those kinds of questions and discussions.
Madam Chair, I do have a question on page 3 of the document we received, Standard 5. Financial resources and stability. My question is based on the information that was set forth, and of course the evaluation team. We talked about the school having $300,000. However, there was no documentation to support that. But at the same time, there were no abnormalities based on that. But there's a little statement here that says that it's fine because of the fact that there are no growth plans. So if you've been around for 64 years, you're going to be around for another 64 years. And as an institution, of higher education, your standards look great as far as how you're going to do your students, your accreditation, all of that. So I cannot see that you would not have a growth plan of more than 30 students in the next 64 years, whether it's 32. And so my concern would be, would you then be able to produce documents that support financial resources and stability if you are going to grow more than 30 students?
If we chose to grow the program in that way, we would be able to support that through tuition, basically. But I think the idea that we're trying to put forth is that it's not that we don't want to grow. We like our program being what it is, and if it were to get bigger, it would not be what it is anymore. It would become a university. We would probably need to join with our local university and to have facilities and the instructors available to teach a class that size. I feel like the reason we're a I think you know what I'm trying to say.
I do.
Dyslexic. I'm going to skip it. It's a hard word. I'm going to go to easier words.
Yeah.
The reason we are what we are is because of the one-on-one that we are able to have with our students with the size classes that we have. So when I say we don't want to grow, it's because we don't want to get so big that it becomes less personal than it is. We feel like the students that we graduate are exceptional in their ability to deal with patients and the workforce because of that one-on-one time that we have with them. So again, it's not that we don't want to grow. We feel we grow all the time in the way that we present our information and the way that we're able to develop and work with the students that we have. So our growth is more on a personal, one-on-one, providing excellence in what we do than growth on a financial or numbers level, if that answers your question.
It does. The growth is focused on the students, growing
Yes.
the students, and
Yes.
making them a better student and a better healthcare provider instead of
Yes.
expanding that. Thank you very much for answering that, Ms. Smith. I do have another question, Madam Chair. On page 7 of the document that we have, Standard 15, General Education. I'd like some more information about the fact that the general education hours that are currently being offered are actually offered in at St. Joseph's College, Maine. So I'm just thinking students here in Texas taking courses at St. Joseph's, whether they're online or can you give me some more information? And maybe the evaluator can also provide some information.
Well, when the program was first being looked at, well, I guess even before that, the ARRT registry required that our students had 15 hours of college credit.
Yes.
So we had to get an affiliate agreement with someone to say that no matter what, this organization or this university would provide that for our students regardless. There is a local university just a couple miles down the road who were not as open to working with us.
Okay.
And so we ventured out and tried to find other folks who would partner with us in that arena just to have the security of knowing that it's available. But we take credit from any accredited university. Mm-hmm. We have folks actually that come from Blinn. We actually have a couple students now, that have transferred over from Blinn. And we'll take college credits from any accredited university, including the one down the road. But once we actually established this, it kind of opened things up for us a little bit more. we were in a learning curve trying to recognize what classes are accredited and how those classes are accredited, and trying to compare curriculums to make sure they met our needs. And of course, if a student tried to move forward to their bachelor's or master's, that we were taking the right stuff. So there's been a little bit of a learning curve, but I think we've done well with getting that together. But St. Joseph was just a very willing organization to work with us, and they were kind of like the first ones to say yes, so we jumped on board with them.
Yeah, I had a concern because I knew that those classes would have to be online, and there's
Right.
not a high pass rate. Given your quality of instruction and focus, there's not a high pass rate for online. And so in order for a student to earn an associate's degree, of course, they had to have those general education hours. And so
Right.
it just did not mix well with having online, not a good pass rate, and having this excellent program over here with the technical courses. And that would then be the gatekeeper that stops your students from graduating. So I just wanted to know, then, of course, then why wouldn't you look?
Right.
Now I understand you look down the street.
Over the past 5 years, I think we've only had one student. Since we had the articulation agreement with them, we've only had one student go through St. Joseph.
Thank you.
And
Madam
Dr.
Chair.
Williams, if I remember reviewing the students' transcripts, they had their general education courses from other institutions. As she said, some were from Blinn, some were from Lamar. So they were kind of all over.
Thank you.
Out of curiosity, what's the cost of the program to the students?
$12,000 for the 2 years, $2,000 a semester.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Further discussion?
I just have a couple, actually, more curiosity questions than anything. On page 3, Standard 6, at the end, it says the board's audit committee would review the audit and is prepared to implement corrective actions. I assume there have not been any corrective actions. If so, what are they?
Oh, there were none in the
That's what I
documents that we
assumed.
reviewed.
And this is similar. In Standard 10, you talk about all faculty remediate students when the situation arises. I guess I was curious as to what remediation might be needed. Since it's a radiological program, they would probably be entering with no background. I was just curious as to what that might be.
Yeah, well, the only way I can answer that is to say that when we first started that process, the whole remediation, I just felt like, or I understood it as if a student was struggling in one of their
Okay.
radio classes, that we would work with them. And
I was reading it as they had something they didn't have that they needed to have when they came, and I said, I don't think this makes sense.
not remetiation in the
Yeah.
terms of like developmental
Yes.
education, but
That was my assumption.
We interviewed the students as well with no faculty in the
seemed
room.
happy.
They were delightful. Think of them as like level 1, level 2 over the 2 years. And the students addressed for us those same kind of questions. If you're struggling, if you're having troubles, what do you need to do? And they were, well, they're here to help us. And so there are 3 full-time faculty members and they're adjunct. Their facility's a rather small building. And there's a classroom, there's a lab, there's a computer lab, and the students have access to their faculty pretty much any time they're needed. It was really delightful. The hospital is immediately across the street from the facility. That's where they do their practicums, their clinicals is there. And, the students, I wish all of our classes could have 15 students in them. But, they had access to their teachers, and the teachers seem to work very collaboratively together. They'll sit down in terms of assessment, look at their learning outcomes. They review the students' test scores from their licensures, what is missing, what is lacking, and then they go back and revise their syllabi accordingly. So,
Okay, great. Any other questions or discussion from the council? Okay, thank you. Then we will come now for consideration of what we would do in terms of a motion. So I would entertain a motion relative to our recommendation for approval of the application that they are submitting. So is there someone who would like to make a motion? Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Then what? In completing this, we're going to ask each of you to speak into the microphone, give your name, and indicate either yes or no about recommending approval of this application. So we'll start down at the end with Diana.
Diana Miller, yes.
Joyce Williams, yes.
Jennifer Ram, yes.
Robert Rhodes, yes.
Donna Jurek, yes.
Carolyn Green, yes. Okay, and so the motion carries. Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, now we move to consideration of item 4 on our agenda, and that is consideration of the application for second certificate of authority from Southwest School of Art. And I'd like to invite the institutional representative and the visiting team chair to introduce yourselves to the council. Good.
Can't hear you, Ben.
There it is.
Okay, let's try this again. I'm Beth Weist, and I was the chair of the visiting committee, along with 2 other members of our committee, which was Amanda Allison from Texas Christian University in their art program, as well as Jennifer Arnold, and she is at A&M Corpus, and she is an advisor in their art program. And in terms of what we saw, we had the great direction of Kathy Mayer to help us through this process, but I can say that coming from the size institution that I am and the size that they are, it's a dream to see the kinds of services that they truly can offer. We were all quite impressed with the process, and in the report that you would have received that came from us, as a reviewer of any kind of institution for this or other purposes, you as a reviewer, you look for things to give comments on, and we had to really look for those. So some of those start to getting into rather minute issues of suggestions, but that's pretty much what they were.
Okay. Well, thank you. Well, now open the opportunity for questions again and any discussion from the members of the council.
Madam Chair, I do have questions. This report is not numbered as the other one, but on Standard 8, program evaluation, I found it very interesting in the report and tend to agree with the information in the report. So maybe Ms. West, okay, if you could tell us a little bit about the concerns that were addressed in Standard 8 to the school, and the school can respond about how they're going to address it. I was very concerned about the non-elaboration on the learning outcomes.
Learning outcomes are my life at my institution. Let me just tell you that, okay?
They're my life,
so
too.
I do get real picky on this, and this is a case where I do believe we were looking for things to address. I felt like, and our entire team really said they really do have learning outcomes. They definitely have goals for the program, learning outcomes that relate to those goals. They are addressing those. They really are in their first cohort of students. students at this point in time, so
Okay.
they have 1 year of student. So many of the pieces that they intend to measure will come in time. They just simply can't be there right now because the students haven't matriculated far enough to be able to collect that data that's necessary to be able to address the outcomes. They have plans for that. The outcomes, as I said, there's very well thought through goals for the program. They are very well articulated. They translate into outcomes, and they have defined those. Those are also translated into the syllabi that the faculty presented to us. So I feel like that is going to come in time. Our concern is, again, we as a large institution really have to look at restoration, storage of this data, and being able to retrieve that. They don't have the same issue, so their issue is going to be just simply devising that system internally to be able to manage that over time, and I think they've got plans for that.
The school, if you could, I mean, I know that some of your students are already in the program, so some of these learning outcomes should have been addressed with those students. So can you?
Sure. One of the things that I do, or what I did in the first year, is meet with groups of students and ask them two basic questions. I said, what are we doing right, and what can we improve on? And then I asked them to address questions related to the program goals, like collaborating, engaging with the world, exploring and taking risks, those sorts of things. And so I have some of that qualitative information from the students themselves, articulating that they find that we are meeting the goals that we've established. With regard to the outcomes for particular classes, the process for developing the curriculum was one where we were very intentionally creating outcomes. I aligned those outcomes to those 5 pillars that are referred to in the report: engage with the world, explore. And so each of those outcomes is tied to specific aspects of the curriculum and each syllabus. So I feel certain that we're covering those bases.
Could you give an example of an outcome that's within the syllabus or within the course that speaks directly to engaging the world?
Sure. We haven't gotten this far yet, but in the junior year, the students will participate in a community-based project. We have it built into the curriculum. So the idea behind that course is that students would address a social issue, any kind of social issue that may arise in San Antonio, and try to address that in some fashion through art. So that's something that is there. But even in the first year, the students were, if you want to talk about engaging the world in a sense of becoming members of the art community of San Antonio, then several of the faculty took them out to museums. They took them out to galleries of working artists. They had them participate in an exhibition, set up the exhibition, so showing them how to become professional artists. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions or discussion?
Madam Chair, I do have other questions. Standard 11, faculty qualifications. Basically, it looks like Professor Vincent Valdez is the only one that holds a baccalaureate degree. So my question is, what does he teach?
He teaches our Drawing 1, and in the first year he taught Drawing 1 and Drawing 2. This year he's going to teach Drawing 2 and Painting 1. Vincent was named the Texas State Artist for 2015. He's got an excellent exhibition record, well known nationally and internationally. He's done residencies in Berlin, in France, in Los Angeles. So he's more than qualified, I think, to teach.
I was just asking that question simply because of the fact that as you prepare for your SACS accreditation, and how that justification will line out. And so as your students move through their semesters and decide to go elsewhere, if they do, then that's going to be difficult for the other universities to be able to accept that. So I'm just kind of looking out for your students as you do, but not questioning his qualifications for those exemptions, but questioning the process of that as it unfolds. Standard 12. I wanted to know the difference between the BFA program and the community arts program. It seems to be two different programs. So,
the Southwest School of Art was founded as a community arts program back in 1965. So it's been around for 50 years. We're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year. And the BFA was an outgrowth of that. It was sort of a natural extension of what we had been doing for 50 years. We had the facilities, we had the faculty, and it was just a matter of creating a program in which students could get credit. And the first step, obviously, was getting the certificate of authority from the state. So the community program, most of the adult community programs meet for 10 weeks. For 3 hours a week, so for 30 contact hours, essentially. So the faculty who teach in the community program, by and large, are the same faculty that teach in the BFA, although we use a larger cohort of adjunct faculty to teach in the community program.
And they would have the same qualifications over. So these hours are then transferable to the BFA or not? Okay.
No, because it's a non-credit program.
Okay. So for the purpose of this approval, you're only asking us to look at the BFA?
Correct.
So the community program has already been approved through something else?
The program has not had the necessity of being approved up to this point. We know that when SACS and or NASAT come for a visit, they're going to approve the entire institution, and so we're getting all of our systems in place for that.
So then you will be able to award non-credit certificates to those students who are participating in the community program?
We had a certificate program actually already in the community program.
Right.
When we set up the BFA, we also set up a certificate program, which is about 40 hours. We haven't had any students express any interest in it yet.
That's all of my questions, Madam Chair.
Other questions or need further discussion?
Under Standard 8, under your procedures for internship, you note they are loosely defined, and I imagine that's partly due to the fact that students are working through the program and had recommendations there for some possible ways to tighten those procedures. That comes up a couple times in other experiential aspects of the capstone and so on. Progress made towards clarifying that?
Yes. In fact, in our response to the report, we referred to, and we developed for the catalog and for ourselves, outcomes specific to the internship forms that the faculty and students would have to use and all of those sorts of things. So we've got that. The senior project, in fact, I just had a discussion about that at a senior staff meeting yesterday. We're still 3 years out from that, so we'll certainly get that in shape before the first students get there.
Thank you.
I think you did a yeoman's job on that.
Thank
response.
you.
Additional questions?
Just one comment. I mean, keep in mind that under the terms of the certificate of authority, they'll have to be back in 2 years.
Right.
And so at that point, then they'll have at least 3 years of cohort, and so you would fully expect the internship to be worked out by that time, but maybe not by now. So
if I could just point out, too, the students do informal internships on campus already. We set that up through the Office of Student Affairs. We have a Student Affairs Director. And so if a student wants to work in, say a student's interested in photography, but they haven't had much experience in metals, that student could do an internship in the metals department, learn a little bit about metals, help in the studio, those sorts of things. A student can help in the gallery. And we also set up a work study program that's obviously not related to federal work study because we don't have accreditation yet, but we do pay, through our own budget some work study positions for the same purposes.
But you are looking at developing external internships.
Oh, of course, yeah. The formal internship has to be off campus. Yes. Yeah, and that'll happen in the right after the junior year, third year.
Yes.
Anything else? Okay, then we will move to consideration of motions. And I'll ask if anyone would like to make a motion concerning recommendation for this application for second certificate of authority.
I so move.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Right. And again, we'll use the same procedure. If each member of the council will, speaking to the microphone, give your name and answer either yes or no.
Diana Miller, yes.
Joyce Williams, yes.
Jennifer Ram, yes.
Robert Rhodes, yes.
Donna Jurek, yes.
Carolyn Green, yes. And so the motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. You want to talk about the upcoming meetings?
Yes. Do you want to turn it over to me? All right. I just wanted to give you an update on the upcoming meeting dates and expected activities during the next school year. We want to thank Joyce Williams. She will be leaving us, and she has given us several years of very good and probing questions, and we so appreciate that. So thank you, Joyce. And at our recent coordinating board meeting, 2 people were reappointed. Carolyn Wilson Green, thank you very much, and Dr. Robert Rhodes. Robert was filling in for a term that a previous member had left, and he wasn't even able to attend any meetings because we didn't have any during the time that he was filling out that. So we are very happy that he agreed and was reappointed and will be serving a 2-year term. And then we have 1 more new member who will be joining us for the next 2 years, and that is Daniel Wright from Lamar Institute of Technology. I passed out the dates for the next academic year just for your notation so you can get them on your calendar and we can maintain a quorum at all of our meetings. But let me just read them into the minutes. It's October 29th, 2015, January 28th, 2016, April 28th, 2016, and July 28th, 2016. And I just wanted to remind you again, if there are no items pending for the Certification Advisory Council review, we may cancel the meeting. In the next year, I expect that we may have 1 or 2 new school applications, and we possibly may have some new accreditor applications. So you can look forward to that. I want to thank you again for attending.
Yes. All right, so our business being concluded, I will make a motion to adjourn. Doesn't require a second, and so we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, and really thank you for your service. We really do appreciate it. And Joyce, I'm sure I'll see you somewhere around the stuff. So good. But I appreciate everyone's time and attention that they give to this. This is really important stuff. And the schools that you guys are looking at have drawn a lot of scrutiny, both nationwide and statewide, and within this room. So we appreciate all the help that you give us. So thanks.